Welcome back to a brief history of Byzantium. If you haven't checked the first part, check the link in the description. If you already did, then let's not waste any more time. Let's get our hands into some history. After her father's brief reign, Zoe the Purple-born arose as the most influential figure in the empire. After the death of her third husband, she reigned with her younger sister Theodora, who later reigned alone after she became a widow. These were the final years of the Macedonian dynasty, which witnessed failed attempts to recover lands in Italy, the invasion of the Pechenegs in the Balkans, and of the Seljuk Turks in the Middle East. While all of this was happening in 1054, there was a mutual excommunication between the Pope and the Patriarch of Constantinople. Theodora was the last Macedonian ruler and appointed a court member as new emperor, who was quickly deposed though by the armies of Isachius I Komnenos, who reigned briefly and resigned, giving place to his ally Constantine X of the Ducas family. This dynasty ruled from 1059 to 1081 and saw a steady decline in Byzantine economy and dominion. Normans gained more and more lands in Italy, while one emperor, Romanus IV Diogenes, who was planning on defeating the Turks in eastern Anatolia, was suddenly defeated at the Battle of Manzikert, which signed the end of his reign and the beginning of the Turkish dominion over Anatolia. The years following 1071, the year of the fateful battle, saw a devaluation of currency and constant weakening of the empire, with several revolts which led, in the end, to the victory of one of them, led by Alexius Komnenos. Not counting for the brief parenthesis of Isachius I, Alexius was the first true Komnenian ruler, rising to power in 1081. He had to deal with three major external threats: the Normans and the Pechenegs and Turks. The way he dealt with all three of them was through alliances: Germany for the first, Cumans for the second, and Crusaders for the third. Thanks to his decisions, the Balkans were finally pacified and many towns and cities of Anatolia were recovered. His heir, John II, continued these plans, defeating threats in the Balkans and reconquering lands in the east, but his project was stunted due to the mixed relations the empire had with the Crusader states. Despite this, he was still a great ruler, and even greater would be his successor, Manuel I. After an attempt to recover southern Italy, he extended his influence over some of his neighbors, including Hungary and the Crusaders, and led with the latter an invasion of Egypt. He also successfully recovered further lands in Anatolia, but failed to remove the Turks from the interior. This was the last hurrah for Byzantine hegemony in those lands. Manuel's only heir was a minor and was deposed by another Komnenos, who was later deposed and lynched in an uprising. The one who arose from the fall of the Komnenoi was Isachius II Angelos, who had to deal with a large number of revolts, including a new Bulgarian threat, and was later imprisoned and blinded by his brother, Alexius III, who was an incompetent ruler. He was deposed by the Fourth Crusade, which reached Constantinople due to Isachius II's wish to retake power. Unable to compensate the Western army, he was deposed by another Angelos, who reigned only for 2 months, in which he tried to defend the city, which finally fell to the crusading force. What followed the fall of Constantinople was the splintering of the empire into various rump states: the Empire of Nicaea, which later restored Byzantium, the Empire of Trebizond, and the Despotate of Epirus. The new power that held the capital was the Latin Empire, established by the Crusaders. Competition was tough, but the Latin Empire lost most of its lands quickly to the Despotate of Epirus, which became a pretender to the Byzantine throne by becoming the Empire of Thessalonica. This success was then crushed by Nicaea though, which took Thessalonica and, in 1261, reconquered Constantinople from the Westerners thanks to a new emperor of a new dynasty, Michael VIII Palaiologos. Michael brought the empire's focus to a definitive shift to the west in the Balkans due to the unstable situation of Anatolia. This was due to the Bulgars and the threat of Charles I of Anjou, king of Sicily and pretender to some of the Byzantine lands. He also tried to find reconciliation with the Catholic Church at the Council of Lyon of 1274, but faced fierce resistance at home. His reign created a Palaiologian renaissance and the recovery of a lot of power for the empire, but this success was rather ephemeral, since, with the beginning of his son's reign, Andronikos II, the decline of Byzantium was already clear. Most of western Anatolia was lost, with the exception of a few cities, and he was deposed in a civil war by his grandson, also named Andronikos. This Andronikos saw further defeats against the now rising Ottoman power and against Bulgaria, but he managed to recover lands to the west, including Thessaly and Epirus. His death marked the start of a new civil war, which will place his underage son, John V, and the regents against John Cantacuzénos. This civil war involved many of Byzantium's neighbors, including Bulgaria, the Ottomans, and Serbia. The latter gained the most out of this conflict, establishing an empire, while the Ottomans established their first foothold in Europe. John V in 1354 assumed proper rule of the empire and got rid of the Cantacuzénos and the civil war. In the following years, Ottoman power cracked more and more in the Balkans, with a great achievement at the Battle of the Maritsa of 1371, which dealt the final blow to the Serbian Empire and established Ottoman hegemony over the area. Byzantine emperors tried to find help in the west, also by attempting to reconcile the churches, such as in the Council of Florence, but this result was short-lived. Help from the west did come though in the form of a crusade, later known as the Crusade of Varna. Comprised mostly of Eastern European forces, the Crusading army managed to achieve some victories, but was decisively defeated at Varna by the Ottomans in 1444, confirming their position of power. While there were episodes of Turkish instability, such as the Sultan's death at the Battle of Kosovo-Poli of 1389 against the Serbs, or the capture of another Sultan at the Battle of Ankara of 1402 against Temur, there was little to do for the Byzantines other than recovering few losses and stopping the payment of tributes. Within about 30 years, the Ottoman Turks attempted to siege Constantinople 3 times. But 4th time's the charm. In 1453, Sultan Mehmed II managed to break the city in 2 months, officially ending the Byzantine Empire. Despite the fall of the city, there were still remnants of Byzantium, the Despotate of Morea in the Peloponnese, and the Komnenian Empire of Trebizond in eastern Anatolia. Both, though, fell within 10 years from the siege, thus ending Byzantine history. The culture, though, lived on and still lives today through Eastern European and Orthodox art, literature, and ideology. Hope you've enjoyed the brief ride, and if you did, like, comment, and subscribe for more history and shenanigans.